Hindi or English?
English.
Huh?
English.
Okay.
English is fine.
So anyway, we're sorry they took us hostage there in Jagannath Mandir because there was just Snan Yatra. So since nowadays this is hostage taking is very common thing. I got taken hostage by Jagannath Mandir, had to say a few words there. So we rushed here. We still have Abhishek Saman all over our dhoti and chatter, but anyway, we are here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So how many people have been to Vrindavan? Oh, a good amount, all right. So this group has any name?
It doesn't have any name. It's a Sunday youth program.
Sunday Youth Program, okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militangena Swaya Shigurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Bhistam Tapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dati Swaparandikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivata Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Yes, Krishna. So we're very happy to be here in Mumbai after a long time. During COVID time, we didn't go anywhere for like 3 years, I think. So we're coming after a long time. So very happy to be here with all the wonderful devotees and congregation members of our Juhu Bandhu, which is Prabhupada's office. We live in the home in Vrindavan. Prabhupada said, that's my home, this is my office. Mayapur is my place of worship, bhajan. So you're all very fortunate to be associated with Prabhupada's office here in Mumbai. And many, many memories have been coming. It was the first time I came, it was 1974. And that was the first, they say the first Mayapur festival was 73, but really organized one was 74. There's just a few people were there in Mayapur, but 74 they arranged it all. We all flew, we practically booked the entire plane. So the whole plane was practically devotees. So we were having kirtan at 30,000 feet in the air. We were jumping up and down and dancing in the aisles. And the poor pilot, he couldn't figure out there's no, because weather radar's not showing any turbulence, why the plane is bouncing. And then the announcement, everyone please take their seats. That was, we got to Mayapur, and we got off the plane, and the devotees already had buses there that take us to Mayapur. Then when they had buses to take us back to the airport, and planes to take us to Delhi, and buses there in Delhi to take us, everything was all organized those days. And, well, it wasn't organized because we were so sick. Because those days there was no money, so somehow they said they had us working in the kitchen. Now we have nice devotees doing cooks and everything. But those days there wasn't any. We just hired some cooks, and devotees were helping to cut up, and there was nothing but buffalo ghee, and our poor Western bodies weren't ready for buffalo ghee. And we were so sick, we were cutting up the vegetables, and the cauliflowers got all kinds of bugs on it. We just were so sick, we just didn't care. We just cutting them up. So we were really sick. So somehow in Vrindavan they heard that we were really sick. So they Guru Das and uh, Jamuna were just like our mother and father. They made nice, soft, uh, less spicy food, and they didn't use any buffalo ghee or just a small amount. But anyway, and the planes those days, we went from New York to London, London to Paris, Paris to Rome, Rome to Beirut, Beirut to Bombay, Bombay to Calcutta. There wasn't this, New York, Delhi, or Chicago, Delhi hop. It was like that. So I knew all the airports of Europe. And it must have taken at least 20 hours, I don't know. Anyway, I wasn't feeling very well, and I wasn't anxious to get on a plane and go, airport hopping all the way back to New York. And one wonderful devotee named Vishnu John came, and he wanted, because Prabhupada said he wanted to have as many devotees who could stay for a Sankirtan protest in Juhu, because the municipality was refusing him permission to build the temple here, and the police commissioner declared that the kirtan on our property was a public nuisance. That was 1974. Our kirtan is a public nuisance. And now you see we're almost 224, and we just inaugurated our parliament building with Vedic mantras and chanting and yoga and everything. So that idea of going to Bombay and having a because I love kirtan, so and I didn't want to sit on the plane. My stomach just wasn't ready for going up and down and up and down and up and down. So, and somehow we only had 30-day visas, but somehow there was a devotee named Tejas in Delhi. He knew everybody. And somehow he managed in 24 hours, he got us all extended visas, and he arranged our tickets, and we came by train. This is old days, this is 1974. There wasn't any padding on the seats, it was just wood. And probably this was the slowest train to Bombay. And I remember there was one guy who kept coming through the car, because I could hardly understand anything, and he would, every couple of hours, this guy would come through, go orange banda, go orange banda, go orange banda. And I asked one of my godbrothers who was serving in India for some time, Deena Prabhu, what is he saying? He said, you don't know? I have no idea. He's saying, go orange banda, go. It took me half the train ride to realize he was taking Coca-Cola, orange, Fanta. I don't know if you remember Fanta. I don't even know it exists. Does it still exist? So we came here, and every morning we do Prabhat Ferry all around the Juhu area, and Prabhupada would give lecture in the evening, and there was no place for us to stay because that time Prabhupada had just recently gotten the property, and where this building is now, there was a park. In that park, they built a little chatai shack, and that's where. Well, we didn't sleep there. We lived there, but we didn't sleep there because it was, if you slept there, the mosquitoes would come, pick you up, and take you off for Sunday feast. Or the rats, you hear the rats, brrr, brrr, and they fall through the roof sometimes. So there was just a temporary temple near the entrance here, with just tin roof and a tin roof darshan mandap, but it had fans, so we'd all sleep there under the fans. Very austere conditions. And every morning Prabhupada would go on his walk on Juhu Beach. And we've been telling this story many times, but every time I come, I remember this. Prabhupada would meet with Dr. Patel. He would meet him halfway to the beach, and he'd walk with us. And Prabhupada would argue with him because he was always presenting Mayavad philosophy, and Prabhupada was smashing it. So we were walking along the beach, and he was arguing with Prabhupada, and he said, look, we are walking on the sand, not on the sea, and not in the air. You can say it is all one, it is all atoms. That's all right, it is all atoms. But still, we walk on the sand, not on the sea, and not on the air. And then he presented some arguments. He said, any child can understand. It is all right, it is all one, it is all atoms. But still, we walk on the sand, not on the sea or the air. He said, any child can understand. Just like whole thing is body, but if I ask any child, what is this? He'll say nose, this is ear, this is eye. He said, even child can understand. Your intelligence is less than child. And then Prabhupada walked some more and he stopped, he dug his cane in the sand and he stopped, he said, just like in the body, so many holes are there. You can say, it is all one. But we put the food here, we don't put the food here. Anyway, it was so wonderful to be here in 74. Well, both us here, but we were very, very happy with Prabhupada. We were just talking about hostage, so that reminded me of a pastime. How many people have been to Barsana? Anybody been to Barsana? All right, a few anyway. So there's three very special hills in Braj. One everybody knows, Govardhan. Oh, Giraj Maharaj ki jai. So that's incarnation of Vishnu. And then Nandagram is there. We call that Nandeswar Parvat. It's incarnation of Lord Shiva. So Barsana is incarnation of Lord Brahma. So most people go to Barsana, they climb up there's a big long stairway. Now, fortunately, somebody put some tin roof on it, so it's a big long stairway. But at least we used to do it in the sun, but now we have shade. And get up and be harassed by take darshan, try to take darshan, get harassed by the pandits, and come back down. But when I go to Barsana, we go complete prikama of Barsana. And it's very ecstatic and very beautiful, especially in the just in the rainy season or just after rainy season. It's very, very beautiful place. So we start the prikama. There's a little path that winds up in a little valley, because there's one side is Barsana Hill, other side is another hill called Bilasgar. And where they meet, it makes a very, very narrow pass. That is called Sankari Khor. In Brijbhasa language, Sankari Khor, narrow pass. So on the other side of that pass is a village called Chiksoli. What's it called? Chiksoli. That's very famous for butter, milk, yogurt, ghee, all these nice milk products from the cow. So Radharani and her Sakhis, they go there every day to collect all these things in clay pots, and then they come back through that pass, very narrow pass. Now Krishna, he knows that Radharani and all the Sakhis have gone there, so he was herding his cows nearby. So when they come back, he blocks the path. And Radharani's coming. Sometimes we sing a nice song, and one of the lines is Hansa Gamani. Somehow, I've lived almost 40 years in India. I never saw a Hans. I've seen ducks, I've seen geese, all different types of colored ducks, but I never saw Hans, although our whole scripture is filled Hams, Paramahams, Hamsavahan. Everywhere in the scripture, Hans is mentioned, but I never saw one. Where did I finally see Hans, swans? In Zurich, where all the money that the government wants to get back to India is stored. When we do Harinam on the lake there in Zurich, there's so many swans. So Gamani means manner of walking. So Radharani walks just like a swan. So you've probably never seen a swan walk, but they walk like this. Mm, 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 mm. So Radharani's Hansa Gamani. She walks just like a swan. And she's got this big heavy pot on her head. And Raghunath Das Goswami describes that her ankle bells, her nupur, it is just like a spray, not a spray, a mist. Tiny, tiny nectar droplets being sprinkled on all beings moving and not moving. Ching, 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 ching. So she's coming through the pass with this big pot of yogurt, and Krishna's got his cow stick and blocking the path. And she says, let us through. He says, Are, you girls are making a big profit selling all this buttermilk and yogurt, and you don't give any tax to your king? And Radharani says, here my father is a king. We don't have to give tax to anyone. So then Madhumangal, he becomes the advocate for Krishna, and Lalita Sakhi, she becomes the advocate for Radharani. How many people studying here should be advocates, huh?
Any of you all advocates?
Anybody studying law? Just a couple. Prabhupada says lawyer means liar. So anyway, Madhumangal says, wait a minute. Vrishabhanu may be the king here, but the king of the whole of Braj is Nanda Baba, so you have to give tax. And Lalita Sakhi says, Are, just see the impudence. Just see how puffed up. You guys were living over there in Gokul with your little friend here, Kanaya. And he created so much trouble, stealing butter, milk, and yogurt. Everybody went to King Kamsa and complained. And King Kamsa came with 100 cavalry soldiers. And you fled across the Jamuna and came over here. And Vrishabhanu Maharaj, out of the kindness of his heart, he gave a tiny corner for you to stay. And now you're saying you're the kings of the whole place. And Madhumangal says, wait a minute. Where did you get this story? This is not a bona fide story. We're going to the GBC. You're preaching deviant philosophy. Nanda Baba is the king of the whole of Braj, so you have to give tax, and for every argument you girls make, we're going to double the tax. And Lita Sakhi says, yeah, but what about you guys? You're taking your cows everywhere, eating all the grass. You should pay tax for that. All right, we're going to double the tax. Not only that, you girls are going and stealing all the flowers. We're going to tax you for that. So like this, the two parties are making the arguments back and forth and back and forth. So you have to understand, they're just little children at this time. And Radharani, she's getting tired with this big pot of yogurt on her head. So she goes like this to knock Nandan out of the way. So we know what happens when a little boy gets angry. It's like an atomic bomb goes off in the heart. And he just grabs the mouth of that pot and pulls that pot off of Radharani's head. Now we just described what happens when little boys get angry. We're afraid to describe what happens when little girls get angry. Radharani grabs the other side of the mouth of that pot and she begins to push. And Krishna begins to push. And then he calls and all the sakhas get behind him. And all the Sakhis get behind Radharani and they have this big push of war, up and down and up and down in this narrow pass. Finally, Radharani screams and all her Sakhis begin to push and push and push. And then Krishna sees they're going to break through. There's a big stone there. So, pow! He smashes that pot of yogurt on this stone. Now, you know how yogurt is a little greasy. This happened 5,000 years ago. But if you come with me at Prikama, I'll take you to that spot. You can still see the greasy stain of the yogurt dripping down the rocks. So on the other side, we go through this pass. I'm too old, I can't go through anymore. There's a secret way around with a car. But But we go walk, those who can walk through that pass, you see how just to walk through that pass is amazing. So we can't imagine having a push of war in the middle of this pass. Huh? On the other side, there's a big platform, and nowadays somebody has made a nice roof over it. Otherwise, we used to be standing there in the sun. And on the Triadacy, uh, after Radhastami, Radhastami is on the Astami, then so the big festival is in Barsana. Hmm? And then on the Nomi, I can't remember where, I've forgotten all the different villages, but every day there's a different place where they have all the Brijbasis go on. There's a big mela there. So on the Tridasi days, it's at that Sankari core. And somehow in Nandagam, on that day, you won't, only sweet you'll find in all the shops in Nandagam is jalebi. And everybody eats jalebis, and then they come over around noontime to Sankari core. And you won't see a single square inch empty. Whole hillside on both sides is completely packed with devotees. And on that platform, there's an old Brijbasi named Danbihar. He's a big fat fellow, and he's got a big silver cane. You know, he has one of the Ras Leela groups there. So he has young boys, but they're all dressed up like Radha and Krishna, and all the Sakis. They have big long braids and everything. And so they're singing all these old Brijbasi songs about this pastime, and the Sakis are dancing, and every once in a while, they hit Dambihari like this. He chases them with his silver cane. And then all the Brijbasis from Chiksoli come, and they pick up Radha and Krishna on their shoulders with a big pot of yogurt, and they rip up all the little bushes and break off branches of the trees, and they're all yelling and shouting, and they take Radha and Krishna through the pass, and then they smash that pot of yogurt on the stone, and everybody dives there to try to get some of that Mahaprasad. And then there's a secret little path that goes up to Sriji Mandir, where everyone takes darshan. There's a beautiful pool bungalow there on that day. So everyone goes up by the secret path and sees that. So then we come to the village of Chiksoli. Usually we do a big kirtan to enliven all the Chiksoli Vasis. And I have one friend named Nandanlal Sharma. He's sort of he's a very simple fellow. He doesn't have anything, but he's a sort of neta there. Everybody knows him. And right in the middle of the path, his house is there. So his mother won't let me get by unless I get some roti. You know roti? You know chapatis, you know. And especially our Gujarati friends, they make them just as flat as a piece of paper, huh? But in Braj, we don't use this machine like this. Nice and thick with homemade butter and ghee on top. So she won't let us get through without some rotis. Mm-hmm. And then we get through, and there's a little kunda there called Krishna Kund. Also, the locals call it Radha Sarovar. And big, so many steps way down to this. It's a small kund. But what happened was Krishna came there with his cows, and there was no water to drink. So he took his flute and he dug out this kund with his flute. So Krishna's flute is very handy for calling cows, for calling gopis, for digging kunds. If you go to Bandirvan, he made a well. Very handy flute, very practical. And there you'll see on one side, there's a beautiful little asan. That is the asan of Madhumangal. Because we just told that this place is famous for makan and ghee and dahi and doodh and all these nice things. So one day Krishna was going there with all his friends, and he was looking, they were peeking from house to house to find a house where no gopi is home. So they peeked through the window of one house, they saw nobody's home. So they went around to the front door and they all came inside. Because still I've seen I've seen some villages where nobody bothers to put lock. Here in Bombay, you have so many locks on your door, right? And everybody thinks, oh, I'd like to go to New York, the Big Apple. Uh, and uh, But if you go to New York, if you want to see your friend, there's a whole bunch of buttons. First of all, you can't even get into the building. There's a whole bunch of buttons. You push the button next to your friend's address, and then the voice comes, who's there? Then you identify yourself, and then this horrible sound comes. As long as that sound is going, you can open the door. And then you have to go up to the 55th floor. And you find your friend's apartment, and you ring the bell, and there's a little piece of glass that suddenly gets dark. Who's out there? And then once they see you, then you can hear them opening up all the locks. Everybody's living in so much fear. There's so many locks. But in the village, nobody's afraid of anything. So they all went in the front door and they began to drink all the doodh and eat all the makan. And they were having a good old time. So that gopi, she came home, she heard something from the window. So she peeked and she saw what was going on inside. So she went around to the front door. Now, at least in the old days, there never was one door. There was always two doors like this. You've seen that, huh?
Yes.
And there's a bolt on the outside and a bolt on the inside. So she put the bolt on the outside. Means who's ever inside, now he can't get outside. So she ran to go call all the other gopis. So Krishna, he also heard this sound. He knows the meaning of this sound. And he looks all around the room. Out the window. So all the cowboys, they ran and they climbed up and bing, 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 they all jumped out the window. Except for Madhumangal. First thing is, Madhumangal, he's lame. He couldn't run like the other cowboys. He couldn't climb like the other cowboys. Other problem is, although Madhumangal is one of Krishna's sakhas, one of his friends, he's not a gopa. He's a Brahman. And our Braj Brahmins don't tend to be very skinny fellows. So somehow with great difficulty he got to the window. Great difficulty he climbed up. When he tried to go through the window, he got stuck. So that gopi came back with all the other gopis. They opened the door, they came and said, "Ha, we got you." And nobody's there, just this fat friend of Krishna. So they pulled Madhumangal out of the window. Boop. They tied his hands with flower garlands behind his back, and they took a string and they tied it around his sika, and they threw it over the branch of the tree, and so now we got hostage. That's what reminded me of this past. Because we thought this is a new thing. When I was young, we didn't hear much about it, but now it's very common. But this has been going on since 5,000 years. And when you have a hostage and you have some demand. So they told, now you call your friend Krishna here, and they pulled on that string. Ooh, Kanaya! Ooh, Kana! Ooh, la la! So then Krishna heard Madhumangal screaming. So he came running to the spot. And then he became very angry. Arey, what have you girls done? Don't you know? He may be one of my sakhas, he's one of my friends, but he's not a gopa, he's a Brahmin. Now you done Brahmanaparad. All your health, your wealth, and your beauty will all be finished. And we know what do little girls worry about? Health, wealth, beauty. So they all became very frightened. Oh, Shamsundar, what can we do? How can we get free from this Brahmanaparad? He said, you make a nice asan for Baramangal, and you go back to your houses, you find out how many laddus you have in your house, you bring all those laddus, you feed those laddus to Madhumangal, he'll forget all about that aparad, he will give you Ashirvad. So they made a nice asan for Madhumangal, they set him down, they brought back so many laddus, Madhumangal began to eat so many laddus, he forgot all about the aparad, he was giving them all Ashirvad. Whatever is there, Mano Kamana. Mano Kamana means the dearmost desire in the heart. And what is the dearmost desire in the heart of all the gopis? That somehow Krishna become pleased with them. And that is Krishna consciousness in a nutshell. You say Sanshep Rup Mein, in English we say in a nutshell. We're chanting our rounds, we're following the principles, we come at least on Sunday for the program. Why are we doing all these things? So somehow Krishna will become pleased with us. We offer all our food, at least on Jamastami and Dwar Purnima, we come for Mangalarti and we associate with devotees, we read Prabhupada's books. Why are we doing all these things? So Krishna will become pleased with us. Krishna consciousness is very simple. We make everything complicated, but it's actually very simple. You just keep this formula in your brain. Whenever you do anything, am I doing this so Krishna will become pleased with me? Or am I doing this so that my senses will become pleased? Then you're always Krishna conscious. Simple. Simple. So now, Madhumangal, he's very pleased. His belly is full of laddus. Whatever benediction you want to take from him, you take from him now. Sri Madhumangal ki. So how late do we have? now that we started, actually I have to tell one thing. At that, where the two mountains meet, because one is called Bilaskar, one is called, the other is Barsana Hill. And Bilaskar, because Krishna can't live far from Radharani, that he is incarnated as that hill as of Bilaskar. So when you go there, if you come to Vrindavan, I'll take you there, and you can see all the rocks on this side are blackish. And we remember from the Brahma Vimohan Leela when Brahma stole all the cowherd boys and calves, and then he came back and he saw they were all still there, and then then they suddenly turned into Vishnu forms, and then suddenly the whole thing disappeared. Then he fell down just like a golden rod, Sonera Danda. So his color is, Brahma's hill is sort of yellowish. So you can see all the rocks on the side are golden in complexion, all the rocks on the side are blackish in complexion. And Chiksoli is also the village of Chitrasaki. One of the Astasakis is Chitraleka, so her village is there. On the other side of the hill, we don't see it, but on the other side of the hill is a beautiful temple. There's a nice young sadhu named Radharaman, who takes very nice care of that place. Very beautiful decoration, everything. And nice paintings. This is Chitraleka's village. And from Krishna Kund, we look up, just like Brahma has 4 heads, this hill of Barsana has 4 peaks. And we should discuss something about Barsana. Because Barsha means rain. Something that we're very familiar with in Bombay. And Barshna means to rain. Barshna. But if you add an extra syllable, Barsana means to cause it to rain. Sometimes there's clouds in the sky, everything is there, but no rain is coming. Because there has to be something to cause it to rain. Actually, the trees, they create special gases that go up and react with the clouds and cause it to rain. So we should not. Luckily, we see in Bombay so many trees. We see more trees than we see other places. But everywhere we go, even in Braj, they're cutting down the trees and making roads and railways and so many things. We're making big protests, and sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But anyway, we always thought that there's no trees in the desert because it doesn't rain. But Prabhupada explained to us that actually, because there's no trees to drink the rain, it doesn't rain in the desert. So trees are very important. So anyway, and sometimes the government, they send some planes up and sprinkle some chemical, and they cause it to rain. So same way, Krishna's rain of mercy is there for all of us. His cloud of mercy is there. But we need someone to cause that rain to fall on us. That is Srimati Radharani. She's the Barsane Wali, the one who makes Krishna's rain of mercy fall on us. So this Barsana Dham is a very, very special place. And as we're seeing, as you go around, it is sprinkled with so many wonderful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So above Krishna Kund, there's a big hill and a little temple up there. You can, even from down below, you can see this. It's got a peacock motif all around, paintings, and even there's little they're not stone, but I guess concrete peacocks are there, all painted very nicely and everything. So this is called Moor Kutir. So you all know the meaning of Moor. Our Western devotees don't know. Moor means when you want extra prasad. But so this is Peacock Kutir. So what happened is one time Krishna, he saw that Radharani and the Sakis were standing on top of that peak and they were watching something. So he went there and he saw that they were watching the dancing of the peacocks. So Krishna, he also began to dance just like a peacock. And Krishna was dancing and peacock was dancing and Krishna was dancing and peacock was dancing. Then he came before Brishmanu Nandini and she said, "You dance very nicely, but this peacock dances nicer than you." So again, Krishna was dancing and peacock was dancing and Krishna was dancing and peacock was dancing. And then he came again before Srimati Radhika. She said, "That was much better, but this peacock dances nicer than you." So then Radharani became Morni, and Krishna and Radha began to dance like Moor and Morni. So this place became known as Moor Kutir. And there was one saint of uh, Nimbarka Sampradaya. There's still some saints are there from Nimbarka Sampradaya. But in old days, there was one saint. He was an artist, and he was doing his bhajan there, and he saw this pastime. And then Radharani told him that if you will paint this pastime, you will see it before your very eyes as long as you paint. So there's a beautiful painting up there, Radha and Krishna dancing as Moor and Morni. Unfortunately, they don't allow pictures, although over the years we managed to sneak a few. But very beautiful painting is there. And from there, you can look all around the Braj because they have it's circular place with these cement peacocks on top, and there's windows that you can look all around and see this beautiful Brajadam. Because this Brajadam is not part of this material world. Don't think you booked a ticket on the August Kranti Rajdhani and you came to Vrindavan. No, we're only in Vrindavan by Prabhupada's mercy. Because it's non-different from the Golok Dham. And every person, bird, bee, every being in Vrindavan has something to do in Krishna's service. So sometimes people ask, what about Cobra? Just like, just 1 minute, one round japa walk from our temple, we have our Krishna Balaram Goshala. So sometimes we find big black cobras there. So what does cobra have to do with Krishna's Leela? One time, Radharani became very upset with Krishna. And she ran down the path and she was just fleeing like anything. And Krishna was trying to come behind, but she was just flying down the path. He couldn't catch her. Mhm. Suddenly, there was a big black snake coming on the path, and he saw this little girl is going to run on top of me and trample me. He stood up and went like that. And Radharani screamed and ran back into the arms of Nanda Nanda. So even the black cobra has something to do in Krishna. It's such an amazing place. Hmm? Hmm? So then we come back down to Krishna Kund, and we walk through a beautiful, they put a beautiful place where they make creepers crawl like this over, they made a little trellis like this, and beautiful little, you go through, especially in the rainy season, you can see this place is not part of the material world. It's definitely not different from Golem. Hmm? So we go through that, and then we come, there's some big, big long staircase up to another peak called Man Mandir. Man means you take a little bit of anger, and you take some pride, and you take some coquettishness, and you take some crocodile tears, and you mix it all together like an artist. So when Radharani is upset with Krishna, she does Man Leela. So this place is known as Mangar. Because what happened, Radha and Krishna were there on top of this peak, and it was full moon night. And Krishna was describing the beauty of Srimati Radhika. And he said her complexion is just as beautiful as the full moon. And Srimati Radharani became furious. Why? We see the moon, he's got so many spots. Huh? He was comparing her beauty with something with so many imperfections, so many faults, dosh. Hmm? Actually, Chandra, he's got 5 dosh, pancha dosh. Hmm? First, like we said, he's kalank, he's spotted. Hmm? Second is kai, he shrinks. Third is banki, he's crooked, like Banki Bihari. Fourth is nisachar. Hmm? We know Nisha means night. Hmm? And Achar, we're coming to these programs on Sunday, we're trying to learn a little bit of Vaishnava Achar, etiquette of how to behave as a Vaishnava. But whose behavior is to come out at night? Rakshas. And when does the moon come?
In the night.
Night. He's Nisachar, like a Rakshas. And fifth fault is Vishabandhu. Hmm? Because when they churned the ocean of milk, then Airavata came out, and the moon came out, Lakshmiji came out, so many things came out. Then Bish, poison, also came. And moon also came. So moon is born from the same place as poison. Just like my God brothers and God sisters and other devotees in the West, they name their children, nice names like Vishvambar, Visvajit, Visvajivan, Vishwanath. And what do all their friends call them? Hey, Bish! People always ask me, what should we name our child? I said, don't worry about naming him. Worry about what his friends are going to call him. So I'm always embarrassed in Braj. We're going along and Prikama says, hey, Bish, the Brajvasis turn around. And if that wasn't enough, in Sanskrit we call the moon Chandra. Sounds too much like one of Radharani's competitors. Hmm? Nobody's going to say it, huh? So, for all these reasons, Radharani became furious and she fled away from that place and hid in a cave. Nobody knows where that cave is now. And hearing Krishna's lamentation, even stones began to melt. Hmm? Lamenting in the absence of Radharani, even the stones were melting. After some time, Radharani came back dressed up just like Krishna. And Krishna said, hey, who are you? And Radharani said, I'm Krishna, who are you? And Krishna, I'm Krishna, who are you? And Radharani said, I'm Krishna, who are you? He said, no, I'm the real Krishna, you're Nakali Krishna. He said, you're the Nakali Krishna, I'm the real Krishna. Hmm? went like this. Then Radharani said, if you're the real Krishna, then where's your Srimati Radharani? And Krishna said, I'll play my flute, she'll come, you'll see. He played on his flute. No Radharani came. He played again on his flute. No Radharani came. Third time he played so enchanting melody on his flute that Radharani could no longer maintain her eyes. When Krishna opened his eyes, he saw Radharani standing right in front of me. And then he grabbed Radharani's hand and they ran up to Unchagaon, the village of Lalita Sakhi, to see if Lalita Sakhi can tell who is Radha and who is Krishna. So you see Radha Krishna ki Jai. So this place is called Man Mandir. They have beautiful painting there that Radharani, she's hiding her eyes, she's not even looking at Krishna. She's looking the other way. And Lalita Sakhi is taking her hand and trying to put her hand in Krishna's hand. Beautiful painting is there. Then we go through a beautiful forest called Gevaran. So I've tried to ask the villagers, but I guess Gevar means it's a very thick forest. Anyway, there's special trees up there. These are called dough. And these trees we don't see on the plain. You know, where water runs down, so on top of the mountain there's no water, it all goes down. And then we see so many trees. But these trees you'll never see in the plain. They grow up on the mountain where there's no water. A special tree. When you go to Govardhan, you'll see them. In Barsana, you'll see them. And in the beginning of the rainy season, they get beautiful little emerald drop leaves, little tiny leaves. And they hang over the path like this. Just little showers of emerald leaves. And after some time, the little yellow topaz flowers come. And then at the end of the rainy season, those topaz flowers disappear and little tiny, tiny ruby fruits come. So this is a very mystical forest. Sometimes emerald leaves, sometimes topaz flowers, sometimes ruby fruits. And if you come at Gaur Purnima time, then you won't see any leaves. But that time of year, the sun is starting to get very hot, and the bark of those trees is very light color. So it looks like a whole forest of silver filigree trees. Very mystical forest. And most places, if you take the rocks and you bang them together, clack, 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 clack. But in Barsana, if you're in the right consciousness, you may just pick up two rocks and bang them together. They go ding, 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 like ankle bells. A very, very mystical forest. So we walk through this beautiful forest, and even without leaves, it's so enchanting, like a silver filigree forest. And in the summertime, the wind is always blowing, and you hear this nice sound. As soon as it starts to get hot, Krishna turns on his fan, and always wind is blowing on top of the hill there. And then we go through this forest, we come to a little place called Dangar. And what happened there was that just from a little ways ahead, after we pass, next temple is Jaipur Mandir. After we pass Jaipur Mandir, we can look, and behind Barsana we see Unchagaon. We were just talking about Lalita Sakhi's place. But in Unchagaon, there lived very, 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 very poor Brahmin, just like me. And just like me, he had a very, 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 very beautiful daughter. Now you're all from India, you can understand this. Our Western devotees don't understand. But if you have a beautiful daughter and you're very poor, this is a big anxiety. Because if you can't get a proper husband for your daughter, you will suffer for the rest of your life. So this is a big anxiety. And not like me, he had a wife whose tongue was like a razor blade. always cutting him. Huh? What kind of Brahmin are you? Get some dan, get some charity, arrange the wedding of your daughter. Huh? One day she said, look, I'm not going to cook, I'm not going to clean. In fact, I'm not even going to let you back in the house. Get out, 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 out. Don't come back until you get some dan and you arrange the wedding of your daughter. And she kicked him out of the house. He said what to do. Well, anyway, Krishna, he's Deena Bandhu, friend of the poor. He will certainly help me. He must be there in Yavarman. So sure enough, he came there on the backside of Barsana Hill, and he saw Radha and Krishna, all the Sakhis were there enjoying. And he came before Krishna and explained his problem. And Krishna said, Arey bhai, now what am I supposed to do? All the money is with Nanda Baba and Nandagam. I'm just a cowherd boy here with my premikas in the middle of the forest. I don't have any money. What can I do now? And that Brahmin began to cry. Now we know Krishna doesn't like to see the Brahmins unhappy. We sing every day, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitayacha. He likes to see the Brahmins and cows. It's very happy. So Krishna thought for a minute. He said, you bring one scale, not like you have in your bathroom at home, but like when you go to buy your fruit in Vrindavan. But a great big one. And he sat Radharani on one side. He told all the Sakhis, you take all your necklaces and earrings and nose pins and gold and silver and pearl and diamond and ruby and Indranila, and you put them on the other side of the scale. If you go to the big temple in Delhi, in Santnagar, right behind Gornitai, you can see our Russian devotees made a beautiful, huge painting of this pastime. The Radharani sitting on one side of the scale, and the gopis have put all their bangles and nose rings and everything, and hars and everything on the other side. So in that way, just as much as Srimati Radharani. Actually, I forgot one thing. Because actually, Krishna saw that the Brahmin was unhappy. He said, anyway, he said, I don't have any money, but I have one Priya. And in British English, Priya, dear, means something very costly. Just like the Americans, they get upset when their petrol comes to $4 a gallon. But if you translate it into gallons, because they sell it by liters like here, but in England, it's about $7.5, $8 a gallon. Ew, it is so dear. So Krishna said, I don't have any money, but I have one Priya. And Krishna actually made sankalp, and he gave Radharani in charity to that Brahmin. Now that poor Brahmin, he really began to cry. First of all, I have one daughter. I can't even get her married. Now you give me a second one. Now my wife is going to kill me. And Radharani said, but Shamsundar, you know, 1 second, I can't live with it. No, I've given charity to a Brahmin. Now I cannot. But Shamsundar, you know, 1 second, I can't. No, I've given charity. So everybody's crying. So then Krishna said, all right, now what to do? Then he called the scale. And then he gave all that gold and silver and pearl and diamond to that Brahmin. He became very happy. Haribo, Haribo. He ran off to Unchagaon to arrange the wedding of his daughter. And Radharani became very happy. And seeing Radharani very happy, all the Sakhis became happy. Krishna made everyone very happy in one stroke. Sri Sri Radha Krishna ki Jai. So this place became known as Dangar, where Krishna gave the charity. And beautiful little deities are there of Dan Bihari. And ordinarily you can't take pictures, but whenever I go there, especially, or whenever any ISKCON devotee, because there's one devotee from Delhi named Abhay Prakash Prabhu, from, I guess, business is called Prakash Tubes or something like that. He has many businesses. So he fixed up that place very nicely, because before we were just in the sun, but he made nice shelter there, and fixed up the altar and everything. So very nice. They're always very friendly to us. They allow us to take all the photos we want. Beautiful Radha Dan Bihari. Mm. And very enchanting, just little deities like this. And there we see a nice little jula, where Radha and Krishna swing when Jula and Yatra comes. Now the rain is going to come in a little while, and then Jula and Yatra will start. Mm. So then we walk past that Jula, and we come to, there's a big wall, and we go through that gate, and we come to Jaipur Mandir. Because what happened on the other hill, the last place we go, there was a tiny little temple, not very nice. So the king of Jaipur, he purchased this hill, and he made a beautiful palace there. And he made all living quarters all around it. He used to go there with all his ministers, and then they would sit before the deity, who's the real king, and make all their decisions. So it's a beautiful palace with living quarters and everything. But what happened is with Sawai Madhu Singh. You ever wonder why they were called like that? Sawai Madhu Singh, Sawai this, that. Because they were thinking they're 25% better than the previous king. So he's Sawai, there's Madhu Singh, and he's Sawai Madhu Singh, 25% better. But when they tried to move Radharani, she wouldn't move. Because she knows these Jaipur Wallas are very tricky. They took Govindadev, Damodar, everybody off to Jaipur. So she wouldn't go there. So he established his own deities there. Radha Kushal Bihari. It's like 2 days ago we met one congregation devotee. His name is Kushal Bihari. So this is Radha Kushal Bihari, Radha Happy Bihari. And they also don't allow photos there, but it's becoming harder and harder. Everybody got mobiles, but sometimes we've got some pictures there. But beautiful Rajasthani architecture, very beautiful place. Lattice work windows all on the sides and everything. And so many beautiful paintings all around. And we take darshan there. In the middle is Radha Kushal Bihari, very beautiful deities. Then this temple, the king, he was a disciple from Nimbarka Sampradaya. So Nimbarka Sampradaya, they trace their lineage from the swan incarnation of the Lord, Hans Avatar. So on the left side, left altar, you'll see a Radha Hans Gopal. Sometimes we've been able to give donation, and the pujari lifts up the skirt, and you can see his wings. Otherwise, he's underneath the skirt. And then in front of him is Nard Muni, because he gets around, he's in all the sampradayas. And then there's 4 little figures there, that's the 4 Kumaras, and then Nimarkacharya and his most famous disciple, Srinivas. And then on the far right altar, little tiny deities of Radha Nritya Gopal, dancing Gopal. And stored on the side of the temple there, you see a Rath card, Rath Yatra time. They put Nritya Gopal in that Rath and they go around the temple courtyard. And all around the courtyard, so many beautiful paintings are there. The paintings of Radha and Krishna playing Holi and Nandagam and Barsana and Govardhan Leela and some special Holi where the gopis, they dress Radha Krishna up like a gopi. And Chirharan Leela, stealing the garments of the gopis. And then there's one very special painting. It's in 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. You see Krishna stealing butter, and then in the second bottom half, you see he's tied up to the grinding mortar. So there's Damar Leela, part 1 and part 2. And the next painting is Jamastami Leela, part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. You see him, Krishna appearing as Vishnu form in the Kamsa cell, and then Vasudev carrying Vasudev across the river to Gokul, and then taking Krishna back. So there's part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, like that. And then there's so beautiful painting of Julian Yatra. And Krishna is so cute in this picture. Everybody just comes with their cameras to get this picture. Hmm? So this is Jaipur Mandir. Hmm? And even when you turn around, when you're at the altar, you turn back and see over the doorway, there's beautiful, what do you call it? When you put stained glass? Oh, stained glass, sorry. Uh, uh, Surya Bhagwan. Because these Jaipur kings, they consider they're in the Surya bumps. So you see Surya Bhagwan and beautiful stained glass behind the, over top of the door. Mm. And they have a beautiful picture there of Ganga Devi riding on her Magarmach. Mm. There's Ganga Devi, she rides on a crocodile. And Jamuna, she rides on a?
Lotus.
Nope, that's Lakshmi. Turtle. Jamuna's Vahan is a turtle. So then we leave uh, Jaipur Mandir, and then we go to the main Sriji Mandir. Because later somebody built, though Radharani would move, they built a beautiful, large temple there, huge temple. Hmm? And before my eyes, I watched them double the courtyard. They took courtyard was just to be, there was a colonnade, and that was the end, right where the colonnade was. But there was some Vrindavan, there was one sadhu named Janakidas, and he collected and he doubled the size and he made a big hall downstairs. By doubling the courtyard, that means downstairs is a big hall. So now it's double the size. Hmm? We come there and the deities are called Ladli Lal. Huh? Little girl and little boy, Ladli Lal. And they used to be very strict, but now with mobile phones, they have a hard time stopping people from taking pictures. And beautiful deities are there and beautiful paintings in the ceiling and all around. Mm. And uh, uh, and there, the famous Lila in Barsana is holy. Mm. They call it Latmar Holi. Because all the, uh, first of all the Brahmins from Nandagam, mm, they come in a big procession, just at like 4 kilometer distance. So they come in a big procession there, and they have pugris with rolled up gamshas and rolled up towels inside their gamshas, and they have big, supposedly rhinoceros skin seals, dal with all kinds of beautiful colored tin foil all over. Mm. And they come to, there's a place called Pili Poker, and they all stay at Pili Poker and have kachuris and so many nice things. And then in the afternoon, they bring the Janda of Nanda Nandan, and they come charging up to the temple. And on the ramparts, the Brahmins there, they have all these big, huge pots of this. This is very nice because everything else, all the powders, well, now they're starting to change to natural powders, but most of the time it was just this chemical powder. But they take the special flour called, in Brijbhasa it's called keshu. In Sanskrit we call palasha. Uh, just this season right now in Jaist, they bloom and they look like they're reddish and orangish and look like parrot beaks like this. Hmm? No leaves on the tree, just these little parrot beak flowers hanging down. And they take those keshu flowers and they dry them out. And next year they put them in big pots and they soak them in the water, and it becomes very bright yellow and very fragrant. So they're all in the ramparts, and the Brahmins from Nandagam come charging up with Nanda Lala's janda, and they're just with their pitchkaris, just squirting everybody. Hmm? Huh? And then they bow the janda before Radharani, and they tie a big mala on it, and then they go charging up on the ramparts and run all around, and the whole courtyard becomes like the Red Sea. It's just a Red Sea. And they all sit on one side, and all the Nandagam Brahmins sit on the other side, and they sing all these old uh, uh, holy songs back and forth. A lot of joking and everything going on. Hmm? And then the Brahmins from Nandagram, they go downstairs. There's one place called Rangili Gali. Hmm? And they begin insulting the ladies from Barsana with most filthy language. Brishbasis, what they talk to each other in love, other part of India, that'll start a fight. uh, uh, they claim that we don't have, it's not in Bhagavatam, but they claim that the queens of Dwarka came there, and they came back and they told Krishna, Bol and Tohela Vachanantagari, Kari Lakata Pani Kubakari, Deki Sham Madhupuri Tehari. That all Bolna, all the talking is without Hela, with no respect. Oh, Din Bandhu, Aja! Vachanantagari. The Brishvasis, they mix R's and L's, so the actual word is Gali. You know, every word is a cuss word. Vachanantagari, Kri Lakata, everywhere is thorn tree, and Pani Kubakari, all the water is salty. We saw your Madhupuri Sham. So they start insulting the ladies, and the ladies have not latis like little ones like that, but like this. And they have these beautiful special outfits that they wear with these beautiful shawls with all gold and silver fringes hanging like this, and beautiful long skirts with so much embroidery in it, and little mirrors and everything. And and the guys get down with those dolls, and they squat down, and Barsana's bigger population than Nandagan. So there's like 5 or 6 girls and one guy with their latis, and they're jumping, and with their full force, pow, pow. All right, give it a little, huh? And they don't have, they're making lots of rotis, and they don't have a Maytag washing machine. They're washing like this. They got a lot of power. And these girls are the ones who are married in Barsana. These Brahmanis are the ones who are married. Those who are born there, they can't play. Only the Brahmanis who are married in Barsana. So, I took one of my Gastastras there, part of the women's ministry. He said a lot of female bonding going, because these are not the, they're not beating on their wives, they're beating their wives' sisters. But there's this bonding going on, because they know what rascals they've been. They're not their wives, but they know what rascals they've been. So they just pow, pow, pow. And then one stops them and another guy gets down. And so this is called Latmar Holi. Yes, but it used to be a lot of fun to go, but now it's so crowded. The last time we went, it took us 2 hours just to get out of the parking. But in old days, it was a lot of fun. So anyway, this is the whole Prikrama Barsana. Anyway, I think it's getting late, and signal is coming. So anybody has any question or comment? Yes.
So as you explained in the Marlila, Radharani took the form of Krishna and they were arguing back and forth.
Yeah.
My question is, Radharani has golden complexion and Krishna has he's Sham Sundar, so he has bluish black complexion.
Somehow she must, I don't know, she must have covered herself. Just like if you go to Nandagam, you'll see Krishna and Balaram are both black. And what the Brishbasis say is that Baldao, he's the older brother. That's why he's called Dao.
Yeah.
You have an older brother?
Yeah, I do.
So Baldao, he feels that Kaneya, he's my little brother. So my duty to protect him. Does your brother protect you, or does he fight with you?
A mixture of both.
So anyway, but now he thinks I have to protect my younger brother, so he takes chandan and he burns it, and with the kala black, he smears it all over all his limbs, so he's also black, just like Krishna. And the Rakshasas can't tell who's Kaneya and who's Balda. So she must do something similar.
Okay.
So there's no more questions. We invite all of you to come to Vrindavan, and I'll show you all these wonderful places. Today we went there, no? Without ticket, no reservation, no security check, no vaccination certificate, no mask. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.